Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Lean Publishing Tip of the Day live stream, where I'm going to be talking about creating a clone of your book on Leanpub. Just before I get into the details of how to do that and what it means, just the usual first minute or two of housekeeping. You can find all these videos recorded for posterity and watchable anytime on our YouTube channel at Leanpub. Just look for the Lean Publishing Tip of the Day playlist. If you like learning about these Lean Publishing tips of the day by watching me talk about them and screen share and stuff like that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll also get new release videos and book launch and course launch videos and podcast videos and other great content on there. So if you're into the world of books and our global community of authors and things like that, I highly recommend you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find a corresponding blog post for each of these videos on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. As I always like to say, if you don't find the article there right away, just click on the magnifying glass on the web page there at the middle near the top and search for the keywords, and you should be able to find this article. Most of these articles also have a corresponding, at least one corresponding Help Center article, the Leanpub Author Help Center as well. That's really easy to find. Just search for Leanpub Author Help Center, and you should be able to find that, and then search for these keywords, and you'll find the article. The articles are great because they actually have like sort of really helpful links and things like that. And you can also get these Lean Publishing tips of the day delivered into your inbox. If you sign up for the Lean Publishing Daily newsletter, you can find a button for that at the top of each of these blog posts. You can also find a banner typically on our homepage where you can sign up for the Lean Publishing Daily newsletter. And you'll also get prompted to do this anytime you buy a book. So it should be relatively easy to find. So to today's subject, creating a clone of your book. It's a really amazing feature. We built it way too late. But in order to understand what cloning your book means, you need to understand a little bit about how Leanpub works. So let me just explain that the core of a Leanpub book is a manuscript. This is a set of written words in order in files, digital files. You can do this kind of either in your browser or using one of our browser writing modes, or you can do this in GitHub with plain text files on your computer, or in Dropbox with plain text files on your computer. But basically, the core of a Leanpub book is a manuscript, written words in digital files. So when you've written this manuscript, whether it's partially complete or fully complete, when you've written this manuscript and you want to create an ebook files from your book manuscript, you click a button on Leanpub to either create a preview, which will create files that are available for you to see, or you can click publish, which will make these files public, available for purchase on the Leanpub bookstore. And when you click the preview button or the publish button to create these ebook files, so EPUB, PDF, and then if you choose to have read a web page that people can buy your book can read online, HTML, what happens is what we call our book generators look at your book manuscript. They look at two things, actually. They look at your book manuscript, and they produce the ebook files from that, but they also look at your Leanpub settings. So every book has a kind of admin section on Leanpub when you create it. That's only viewable by you and your co-authors, if you have any, or perhaps collaborators and stuff like that. But in any case, you have a bunch of settings in there. These settings include things like, do I have a dedication page at the front of my book? These settings include things like, page size for the PDF, font size for the headings, things like all kinds of things like that. So our book generators look at your book manuscript, and they look at the book settings, and they produce the ebook files from the combination of those two things. Now, another thing I need to explain is that Leanpub book manuscripts are written in plain text. I'll explain what this means in another video. If you're a technically minded person, you probably know what plain text is. I won't go into a big explanation of it here, but it's basically a universal sort of way of understanding what text written on computers or computing devices really is. And so that's the reason we call it plain text is it's different from, like, if you're writing in, say, Microsoft Word, when you see an A, what that A actually is in the app, in the software, is kind of arbitrary. But in plain text, in a plain text app, an A is universally understood. It's a universal definition of what an A is in basically, a sequence of zeros and ones behind everything. When you write in plain text, a manuscript in plain text, it's basically exactly like writing imagine writing a book manuscript on an old style typewriter, right? You aren't going to expect to see the formatted finished book when you're typing out your manuscript on your typewriter. So for example, if you're typing a book manuscript in a typewriter and you want something to eventually be in italics, what you would conventionally do is use the underline feature on the typewriter. So you would underline the words. So when you're looking at your manuscript, you see these words underlined, but you know that what that means is that when the book is produced, those words are going to be in italic. So writing a book in plain text is just like that. So your manuscript is going to be in plain text. You're going to have your settings on some settings on Leanpub, and our book generators create your ebook from that, and your print ready PDF and your unbranded ebook and all kinds of other great things. But the core of it all is a plain text manuscript, and instead of plain text manuscript digital files. So with all that understanding there, when you create a book, sometimes the preview generation process fails, and sometimes the publishing process fails. You'll get a notification of this. It'll say, preview, like the preview process failed at step 16 or something like that. This is very frustrating. We wish this never happened, but it does happen sometimes, and it's partly because, like I said, Leanpub books are written in plain text. So someone might, if you want to make a link in plain text, you don't select the text and click a little kind of link icon. You actually have to like put a square bracket before it and a square bracket after what's going to appear as the link, and then you need to put round brackets around what the actual web address is going to be. If you know what Markdown is, you know what I'm talking about. This sounds complicated. It's actually relatively simple when you see it. But essentially, you have to type in the formatting instructions for some things into your manuscript itself. And if you get this wrong, this might actually break the book generation process. Now, we actually do have, for books, we actually do have a setting where you can get emailed, some kind of like, indication of where the problem might be. This could be much better, but it's better than nothing, the current situation that we have. But when this happens, the ideal way to deal with it is, first of all, to create a clone of your book. So you have your main book that you're working on that now it's got a preview generation problem. What you want to do is you want to create a clone of your book with one click, and then you want to essentially debug that cloned book to make it work, to see what the problem is, what's causing the preview generation to fail. That way you're leaving your main book untouched while you go off into the clone book to figure out what the problem is. Once you figure out what the problem is, you can go back and make the change to your main book. So the clone book is kind of like a safe parallel universe where you can experiment with things and figure things out on your own. There are other reasons you might want to create a clone book. You want to see, like two different formatting options at the same time or something like that. In any case, it's a very, very cool feature to be able to use. The other time you're going to want to use a clone book is, let's say you're getting preview generation failure or published generation failure, and you can't figure it out. That's okay. We don't expect everyone to have a PhD in Leanpub when they use it. You might just run into a situation where you're like, look, I spent half an hour looking into this. I can't figure it out. Hey, go to help. Send an email to hello@leanpub.com and ask for help with your problem. Now, what you should do when you contact Leanpub support at hello@leanpub.com with a preview generation problem like this is you should have a link to your book, an explanation, like maybe a couple of lines or a paragraph about, when things started going wrong. Just any details you give us will speed up the process for us finding a solution for you. So take a couple of minutes to write an email with some details, a link to your book, but also a link to a clone book that you've created. If you've already gone and created a clone book, that means we can safely go in there and we can play around as Leanpub support without affecting your main book or confusing you in any way. Typically, what we do if you haven't created a clone book is create a clone book for you and then try and debug the situation there. But if you create the clone book first and try and figure it out first, then we have a clone book that we can look at and play around with, made by you. And so we're sort of more confident that we're not messing around or doing something unexpected on our end, which we definitely don't want to do. So creating a clone book is a great way of experimenting. It's also a great way of debugging if you run into a book generation problem. Now, let me just share this article that's linked to from the blog post about how to create a clone of your book when you're working on it on Leanpub. It's not a very long article because it's a relatively simple process. You go to your overview page for your book, which I'll show you how to do that in just a second. You click find clone your book, go to that page and click clone your book. Then what will happen is when you click OK to accept it, a clone of your book will be created, and this cloned book will be in stealth mode. When a book is in stealth mode, that means no one can see it anywhere. It won't be on the Leanpub bookstore either as a published or as an unpublished book. It's stealth. It's just secret for you. You can find the stealth book sort of section in your author app side of things on Leanpub by going to author and books. And hopefully that's not too hard to find. We've also got a link here to where you can find stealth books, but you should be taken there automatically when the book is created. Basically, it'll just create the book with the same URL as your normal Leanpub book landing page, but with like, dash clone at the end. If you create more than one clone, it gets a little bit more complicated, but that's what the first web page will be like. And then you've got you should have like a perfect copy of your book, but in like a new book that you can play around with. Let me just show you how to do this. So here's my simple little demo live stream book that will evolve over time. Right now, I'm just going to click the edit button here. You can find the edit button on the page. If you're signed in and you're the author of the book, click the edit button, go to clone your book, and click clone my book. I'm seeing the little OK message here. And yeah, so now you can see as an admin, I've got lots of books. But basically, yeah, that's going to create a clone book. I'll be interacting with it the exact same way that I would interact with a normal Leanpub book. You can actually, go to the /overview page for the book. You can play around with it. You can preview it. You can publish it. I should mention, I sort of buried the lead here to some extent, but that the book will be in the clone book will be in the browser writing mode. It won't be like we won't be creating a new GitHub repo or Dropbox folder for you. It will be in the browser writing mode, so you can do everything in the browser. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with our browser writing mode, there's a tutorial for it step by step in the Help Center. It should be relatively simple. If you've already written and been writing a Leanpub book, you'll kind of get it right away. There's a Write tab that you'll find in the Author app section of your book on the very top left. You can find a link to that from your book's overview page as well. Then there will be the various files. You can click on the file and you can alter the content in the browser itself. So for anyone who jumped in late, today's Lean Publishing tip of the day was about creating a clone of your book, how that works, why you would want to do it, things like that. You can find these videos on our YouTube channel at Leanpub, and you can also find the corresponding blog posts for all of these Lean Publishing tips of the day on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. Yeah, if you like these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please, subscribe to our sign up for our author, or it's not our author newsletter, although you should sign up for that too. Sign up for the Lean Publishing Daily newsletter, and follow us online, and mention with comments and like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So thanks very much, everyone, for watching this Lean Publishing Tip of the Day live stream today.